Good
What's up?
morning.
What's up? Good morning, peeps. How's everybody on this lovely Friday? Yes, your man stand up today.
Yes.
I got to do a stand up show today. I'm tired of sitting down, so we doing a stand up, getting these legs and some motion. It's summertime, trying to get that beach body together.
Did you say beach body? Oh Lord.
Trying to get the beach body together, but we looking to have an awesome show today. Thank you guys for tuning in as always on this lovely Friday. It's see that's why I can't get too in tune with the heatness, right? Give us like about 7, 8 beautiful days in Jersey with the 80s and 90s, right? Wake up this morning and it's like frost on the window. I'm like, come on, what are y'all doing? It's June. It's June. I go outside. I had to make a run early this morning. I get outside. It's like I look in the temperature on the car. It's like 62. I'm like, come on. You didn't hit me with these 90s for a little bit over a week. I'm ready for it to be summer all the way through.
That
I'm
is
ready for
hysterical.
it. Yeah.
Well, now that you are here, and the summer's coming, it's trying to come through. I
Yes.
just want to say thank y'all for coming and supporting us. What, almost
Absolutely.
300 people have been
Absolutely.
hitting the links, have been really showing that support. We appreciate you always and
Absolutely.
forever. And one thing I do want to make note of is as we continue this journey, please don't hesitate. Let us know what about credibility, visibility, and definitely your website. What about that do you want to talk about? Because we're always open for discussions. These discussions are really to help you as well, as to have us be able to get the word out and speak about what we know, and things that we've experienced. So never hesitate to drop in what you want. What can we do to support you in this conversation, in your journey, especially when it comes to vulnerability, visibility, and credibility. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. So as this is our Friday, and sometimes we like it short, sometimes we like to go long. Let's first of all, first and foremost, please drop in and tell us where you're tuning from, where you coming through today, so we can recognize you and recognize where you're from too. And if you have not noticed, there's going to be some promos at the bottom. We definitely want to spotlight folks who have supported us, who sponsor our shows.
Yeah.
And one of them is our good friends, Russ and Scott, D. Scott. If you guys don't know them, what do you say, Carl? You're doing it LinkedIn wrong?
Yeah, if you don't know them, you're doing LinkedIn wrong. That's my man Christian told me. I told him I'm gonna use that every chance I get because if you don't know these people that we be talking about, that we showing love to, that we're promoting, you doing LinkedIn wrong. So you better recheck,
Yes.
recalibrate, reevaluate how you feeling, how you doing it, because you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. Definitely.
Yeah, so they have a mastermind. We'll be dropping these links in the chat as well.
Yes.
Jump on in. Carl and I participate in the mastermind as well, and it's really a mastermind, a way for you to start discussing what do you do. You hear from others, what do they do when it comes to live streaming, going live on different platforms, building your relationships with people, building your credibility with people. That's just another option to have a conversation with everyone. And of course, Dr. Alex is there with us as well. So
Yes.
jump on in there. And another friend of ours that, once again, if you don't know him, you're doing LinkedIn wrong.
Doing it wrong.
It's Martin Pratt. He has a new book out, and it's called The Black Toolbox. Jump on over to his site as well, theblacktoolbox.com. Head on over there and grab your copy of the book. And if you want to join the mastermind, head on over to rusthedge.com/mastermind. So you can definitely connect with those two. And of course, with us, if you want to work with us, you can head on over to my site, brooklynCustomDesigns.com/SOS. That's if you need a quick strategy for your website. You don't know what to do, you don't know how to use it. You want to get that on that conversation going, head on over, book a consultation with me. And if you want to jump into the 4-week intensive with my co-host,
Mm.
my partner in crime,
Oh God, my
Carl
time, my
Sean
time.
Watkins, head on over to carlseanwatkins.com/VTP. So you can be part of that 4-week intensive, because we both changing lives, and everybody that we
Yeah.
mentioned, we changing lives together. And
Transformations.
it's all over the place. We want to make sure that you guys are getting the support you need, no matter where you're from. So what,
Yes.
Carl?
Yes, head over to the website. I just want to say she is getting it in. I'm thanking Restream for the ticker. I also want to give Restream a shout out this week. We had no complications with Restream. You gave us a full week of streaming through, no glitches, no cutting out, no stopping short, no freezes. We got to give you a shout out because I know we put you out there on the fryer when you don't have it right. So we got to put you on the good spot when you got it when you got it wrong, we put you out there. But now that you got it right, we got to put you and shine some glory on you too.
Amen. Amen. So for today, we're talking about ways that you can use vulnerability to solidify your credibility. Now, one does not create the other instantly. And that brings us to our myth buster, that when you're going viral on these different platforms or in the virtual world, that's supposed to instantly build your credibility. That's not true. When you're going viral, that does lift up your visibility, but the credibility work, that still takes work. That's still a long-term game where you're showing people that you can be relied on, that what you say is true. Your word is bond, as they used to say. I don't know if they say that anymore. Do they say that anymore?
I don't know. I don't know. That's a little bit. Your word is
That's,
bond. Yeah, I mean, they still kind of say it like old people like me. We still kind of say it because we don't know what the new terminology or the new nomenclature is, like we used to say. But your word is bond because without it, what it is what it is. So nobody's paying you no attention if they don't realize your word though. But now with things being twisted, and this is another direction I'm taking, so don't y'all drop kick me. Now how things twisted and this is fake news and I mean, there's a lot of more ways now that you got to establish your credibility other than you just coming out your
Mhm.
mouth. A lot of people and even seeing it, the testimonials is really going to an all new level because people want to see it. I don't even think the written testimonials is carrying as much weight. Now we're talking about the video testimonies where people got to really let someone know what you're doing because all of us are writers, all of us are creators, all of us are those kind of people. So we can put in pretty much. I mean, I'm not saying there's people doing it, but I always used to think people that cheat in school too. We used to think about people are writing up their own things, saying that they own, their profession. So without your word being backed up, yes, Dr. Alex, without your word and your social proof and your testimonial proof, it's kind of got to be a combination of things to build your credibility. That's why they say when you go to these places, do these speaking engagements, do these what's the names, you got to get people to talk about you. You got to get video of you doing it. You got, it's kind of heavy
Mhm.
slate now that your word really may be bond with you or your little circle, but outwardly, I don't know about what your word means. So
And it took me a minute to really let it sink in that people, and this was a while back that I found this out, but people were fraudulently putting up testimonials,
yeah.
video testimonials,
Oh
written
wow.
testimonials,
Oh wow.
testimonials with photos.
Oh wow.
And the reason why I realized that these were fake testimonials, some of the photos that I came across were stock images that I was running into anyway. So because
Oh,
I was doing
y'all knew the
graphics and I
same
was
people.
looking, because I was doing graphics and I would see all the lifestyle photos and
Yeah.
everything, the more I started going into certain sites, they were marketing sites, ran by marketers. But I'm looking at this and I'm like, this image looks familiar. Let me put this image out there. And they were stock images. And then the same thing for some of the videos. Some of the videos weren't legit videos. Even on Amazon, a lot of people started to realize that, wait a minute, these are not legitimate people who used the product and were saying, yes, these are good products. So it also takes time to understand, like, okay, look, if they do have testimonials, if they do have video testimonials, are these still legit? Do these help with the credibility? Because once you start to realize, wait a minute, this your cousin's friend, then this not legit. Then you're like, okay, then this company's not legit either, right?
Yeah.
Because then how do you have 100 how do you have 100 testimonials? 50 of them are saying that you are 5 stars, and the rest is saying that you're 1 star. Something got to give, right? And
Yeah.
especially, so that's why I feel like when you start to give people, and this goes for us too, as we are giving testimonials for others, I've
Mhm.
learned you have to give proof that you're using this product, you read this product, you went through something, you know this experience with this person, or you know the person to an extent. And it's okay to say that. And when you're doing that, that's where the credibility gets built on. So no matter how viral that person might get, when they start to ask for that social proof, you want to make sure that when you leave social proof, you're leaving proof that you know what you're talking about. So a lot of times I would read books early for people, my co-authors are on different projects, and I would give honest opinions about the book. I would never rave about it if I didn't really like it, but I would say, you know what, these points, this chapter was great. I learned a lot from here. This is a good read, but I wouldn't say this is a game changer. Your life will never be the same. Like, nah, I don't go above and beyond like that if it's not true. So you have to be careful when you're reading certain things, because those phony reviews also help damper who that business is, who that person is, and eventually it can lead back to who the reviewer is, because Amazon also frowns on false testimonies by reviewers. So look at where you're dropping these things on Google, on Yelp. There's a lot of people who, and it goes the same for when it's bad reviews. There's people who never worked with you. And because something you might have had a falling out, boom, they about to hit you up. Or there's a competitor that is rivaling you for something, so they'll send their friends or they'll make fake accounts, and then people are just coming at you. So it's a double-edged sword when it comes to looking for that social proof. Always looking to say you want to go viral. Why do you want to go viral? Why do you want all this visibility? And do you have what it takes to back that up? Because once you go viral, people start to look for you. People want to start seeing what you're about. Can you back that up? And that's where your credibility and your vulnerability foundation should already be laid. You don't want to start laying that after you go viral.
No, it's too late. It's too late to lay it after it's gone viral because viral works. Viral works. I always say this, and people could probably put your perspective in the comments because I would love to hear what your perspective is on this. I always thought viral was a bad thing, and I'll tell you why. Now, I know what we look for viral to look for the visibility, and Rob mentioned that. Thanks, Rob, for putting that in the comments. It does not build the credibility because right now I'm following a cat channel on Instagram. I love my cat. I love my cat reels. I just cats just do some funny things. I don't know if they know they being photographed or what, but they do some funny things. So I'm following a particular cat reel, right? That right now has over 1 million views. This cat smacking his homie, and it's kind of like really funny. But it's nothing credible about that. I mean, the interaction between the two cats act like two people. Now, would that be staged? I know we talking about cats, and I know we talking about cats. Don't get on me, y'all. Hear me out with this one. I see that that's on there, but that video has went viral. It's nothing credible about that video, and it's not saying anything good about the person that posted that video. When we look for things, you have to realize too, when your stuff becomes viral, the majority of that is an opportunity for attack. And that's why I say I don't think of it as good. Because when you come to be a social proof and you come to have something established in what you're doing, I'd rather make impact in what I'm doing with individuals that can tell others about it than have it to be seen on the screen for viral for others to be able to depict and destroy it. Now, you know your perspective may be different than mine, and that's what we live in the USA and all over the world. We got these perspectives, but I think when you're talking about viral thing, if you look at the things that have went viral, 90% of them, maybe a little bit more, has went viral for that opportunity that something destructive was in there. Will Smith and the smack on Chris Rock, that went viral. I mean, and I'm just using that as the latest thing. Most of the time people look at something viral, it's something in there that people could talk about and spread nonsense about. Now, I don't see too many talking about stuff in there that's viral. I don't see viral about, people helping the homeless people. You know what I mean? Unless it's a stage thing with celebrities. But I don't see nothing viral about people going to the soup kitchens and helping those. You know what I'm saying? So if you get my drift a little bit on that, I might be taking it a little bit more political than you guys want to have it. But hey, we're talking about credibility, and in building your credibility, you want some establishments where people know that your customers are being treated fairly, they're getting the services and products that they desire, and their experiences have been something worth leaving. Because I didn't know too long. My son put me up on it. Google a couple of hotels we stayed at. We come to find out when we went down to Myrtle Beach area, a couple of them was paying for Google reviews on their hotels. And I was like, yo, they some paying for that. And my son just hit me up to a lot of it. He's like, yeah, it's a lot of companies that pay for that. Like you pay for ads, they pay for people to write reviews. So you really gotta watch it. Just do what you need to do what you're supposed to do, and be dependable with what you do. And people will always say thank you. That's my spin on it. Let's roll.
And I'm glad you mentioned the payment, right?
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we as business owners, we're trying to figure out, okay, how to get reviews, especially
Mhm.
video testimonials, especially somebody just write something. How do you get that done? A lot of times you'll hear folks say give incentives. Incentives are great, but you cannot use it as a carrot stick
Yeah.
to or a carrot on a stick to entice people in a sense of bribery, right? You have to
Mhm.
do it in a way that you're thanking them for their reviews, their honest reviews. Even if it's bad, that gives
Mhm.
you feedback.
Right.
Bad reviews are good too to give you feedback. Honest, bad reviews or critical reviews allow you to know what you need to improve. However, you need to be very careful on how you give the incentives, how you give that motivation for people to do that. So you never want to bribe or pay someone for a review, but you want to give a thank you, and the thank you doesn't have to be monetary. A lot of times you see
Hmm.
companies offering those
Discounts,
gift cards.
your
They offer
card.
discounts.
Yes.
They offer referral discounts. They do all those kind of things. So you just want to be careful on how you're doing it, so you're not, like Carl says, you paying for a review, because it's legit. Folks are paying for reviews out there.
They
Folks
are.
are paying for fake testimonials. So you got to be careful, do your due diligence, and understand that because somebody went viral, and they can do it multiple times, because we already know folks who help train us into going viral on social media, how to follow the analytic or yeah, the analytics and the algorithms, how to pay attention to the trends, right? And if anybody jumps on a trend and you're going viral, is that a good thing? Are you doing what you meant to accomplish, or are you just there following trends to say that you went viral, right? You can miss me all day today. So let's talk about ways that vulnerability can help you solidify your credibility. Now remember, we already said that these are foundational. Credibility and vulnerability are two foundational aspects of your character, your business, and your brand that you should be building up along the way. While you're working on being visible, you should be building this up. And sometimes credibility and vulnerability can be seen as your personal traits. Some people just aren't credible folks. Let's just keep that real. Okay?
Mm.
100, they just not credible.
I ain't going on
Um
that one.
so with that being said, part of you solidifying your credibility by using vulnerability is to build relationships on repetition. You want to be consistently you don't want to be fake when you're starting to build these relationships. You don't want to make it seem like you're here for everybody when you technically are not. You want to be true to yourself, but be honest with the people that you're building relationships with, and do it across the board. If you're going to say no to something for one person, do it across the board. If you're going to say yes, but you have caveats, then tell people across the board about that. But once you start acting up and I call it switching up, right? Once you start switching up on folks, then they looking at you like, can I even trust you? Who are you? Like, what? Why am I even here? So you want to be careful on how you're building these relationships, and you want to do it in a consistent, repetitive manner. What do you say about that, sir?
Yeah, I definitely agree. And in the essence of building those relationships, I take what Rob asked in it. Can you tell others about your experience? That's what builds the experience. The thank you, the giving people the opportunity to tell you about your services. I look at anything I do as an opportunity for someone to tell me whether I achieved what they wanted me to achieve, whether I came up short, whether I can improve on. Those are really, when you look at it, those are what reviews were established for, to better
Hmm.
about the process, to bring about perspectives from different people that have utilized the things that you offer or you sell, and to give you an actuality of how their experience was. And if we don't take the reviews to that seriousness, we can't build those reputations, we can't build those relationships through reputation, because we're not fully understanding the things that we missed on. When we offer these services, whether it be coaching, whether it be a product we have, websites, whatever we're creating in the entrepreneurial world, or even if you're doing it for a corporation that you're working for, if there's not an ability to get some assets looked at and for people to have perspective about whether you're failing or whether you're reaching the mark on that, these are what KPIs are for. These are what these kind of things are there for. And they help you to build the credibility and the relationships. Because if I'm coming to you and delivering it with a product, I don't look for that product from anyone else, because you have
Hmm.
delivered, and our relationships will grow over repetition. It's like one of those fundamental scratch your back kind of things. If I know that you need a roof done and I got an excellent roofer and I'm proud of the roofing job that he's done, I'm going to refer him to you, and thereby process we're going to build a relationship as that way. But if we're not taking advantage fully of the reviews that's given to us, or we look at it as not corrective criticism, but just like, oh, they just don't want to use my stuff, or they just got something bad to say. When we look at those prospects, how can we have that vulnerability? That's the piece in it. That vulnerability says, okay, maybe there's some room for me to grow. Maybe there's something that's said. If 10 people come to you talking about the same thing, then more than likely it's something wrong with what you're doing. Or not 10 people ain't in cahoots to be like, yo, let's all 10 of us get together and say, Carl, business stinks, right? At some point in fashion, if they're saying some things to you, more than one person, couple person, three or four people. I even look at it, if I talk to one and then I talk to another, and there's two separately, totally different reviews. I say, okay, I'm listening to both of them because I'm missing something. Because there should be a semblance of what people come away with your stuff from. It should be impact, satisfaction, and a willing to maybe come back for something else you offer. So if you're not driving that consistently, you're not building the reputations and the relationships, and they're not going to be repetitive, because people may not come back to you. You may not never know why, but I'm guarantee you they're going to tell somebody else that in their circle, don't go to them. So in essence of that, that vulnerability can definitely solidify your credibility, because you're letting them know, yo, I'm out here. Tell me what you need so I can be there, so I can fix it, so I can be the source that you want. Absolutely, Rob. You have to consider the
Yes.
source. Absolutely, Rob. I'm considering you right now as we speak, the source of who you are.
And we could even go to fake vulnerability, right? When folks
Oh,
pretend that
yeah.
they vulnerable, they use it as a lure to get you
Mhm.
in, and to allow you to feel like, oh hey, I'm like you, or we're doing the same. There's a couple of folks who got caught out there on social media for doing that, right?
Mhm.
Pretending to be vulnerable, pretending to be um on the same wavelength of their audience, and then boom, they true thoughts came out. So that showed that they weren't real. They weren't legit.
And what did
So
Mama
you
say?
want to
What
make,
was done in the dark come to the light? I know y'all grandmamas and mamas and great grandmamas that said that, right?
yeah.
What's done in the dark come to the light.
So you exactly. And my mom says it too. So you got to be careful of how you're using these tools of your personality. You want to make sure that as you're building these relationships, bad relationships also, as you're being repetitively built, as you're building bad relationships in a repetitive manner, like Carl says, folks talk to each other on the back end. They may not necessarily come to you. Some people will come to you and you will ignore it thinking, I'm going to do me, right? But
Mhm.
those same people are talking, like I said, on the back end. So when they start messing with you, and when they stop talking to you, they stop dealing with you, you have to take that into consideration that something's off.
Yeah,
It's
something.
not it's not everybody else is wrong and you're the only
They
one who's
sending
right
you
in
a
that room.
signal. Yeah, they sending you a
Right.
signal, and you have to be vulnerable enough to accept that signal. Because a lot of times we put up the shield. You know what I mean? And I know Rob said consider the source, and that is also a key avenue. People have their own agendas, but you also have to always, because you're offering the service, you can't be concerned with others' agenda. You have to stay fortified in the service or product that you're offering, because when it comes down to the day, their agenda has nothing to do with your sales and you providing that ultimate service that satisfies customers. And that's really what we need to focus on.
Amen. And I saw a question from Miss Ann,
So,
and she
and
said,
out there
"Don't you
in
think
Texas,
that?" She said, "Build great things take time. Build relationships and support your community. Don't you think that's at the core of success?" Of course,
yeah,
absolutely. And
yeah,
that's the problem with a lot of what people are doing today. Everybody's looking for that quick fix. Not everybody, but most
mhm,
people, as they're out there and they're trying to build their credibility, they're trying to jump on that visibility train, they are using shortcuts to get to how to really build a relationship. They feel like if you have all these followers, then you've built a relationship. No, you have not. No, you have not. Because
no,
there's no way that especially if it's overnight, that you see thousands of people are now
mhm,
following you, that you have also in conjunction with that built relationships with all thousands, because
mhm,
sometimes that takes time.
it
When
does.
you're sitting there and you're trying to build that trust with them, you build that credibility factor with them, you have to show them on a consistent basis. Some people, they will sit there and they will love you up after one time they see you.
Hmm.
They don't care about nothing else. Other
That's it.
people, like, and that's where the touch points come in, right? Touch points is just that. People will need to talk to you more than once. People want to
Hmm.
see that consistency, like Carl says. Folks was following him for a whole year
Yeah.
before they reached out to say, "Well, I just wanted to see you switch up." Right? I just wanted to
Still
see you
scares
how
me today.
I just want to see how you switched up. I had not received that notification of my inbox, but how do I know? Somebody probably waiting for me to switch up. It hasn't been a year yet that I've been consistently
Yeah,
showing myself up on lives and doing videos that way because I didn't want to be on video like that.
yeah,
But I realized, and I've always seen it with clients, I've seen it with others, that video is a great way to quickly establish yourself in the public eye. But that does not mean that everybody knows me, everybody was believing me as a credible web developer, as a credible designer. They didn't know that yet. And a lot of times I had to look at that and see what was I doing. Most times when you see me, I was not talking about my business.
yeah,
Right? And it
yeah.
wasn't because I didn't want to, I didn't believe in my business, but I was trying to figure out, like, what do I talk about? Do I talk about
Mhm.
just helping people, which is what I did a lot of times, but I never drove people back to, oh, I'm speaking about this because I've been doing this over 20 years. I've been doing this for over 22 years. This is why I know this, because these are my clients. This is what I saw. I never did that because part of me was feeling like I did not want to make myself feel or seem like I was the centerpiece of that conversation. I was trying to focus on the issue, focus on the situation, but that also hurt me because I was not putting myself out there to showcase what I learned as I messed up along the years, right? Because 20 years you're bound to mess up on something.
Oh,
And I
absolutely.
never I never did that. I never discussed that. So it's always about understanding, what are you doing? Why are you doing it? And is this bringing you to the ultimate goal that you need to get to? So never feel like because you're visible, you're automatically credible, one. And two, never feel like you're building a relationship based on how many follows you have. Did you talk to everybody? I haven't talked to everybody in my community, in my network, but I speak to people, the majority, either in comments, in DMs, and that's still not a lot of people if I think about it. So you really have to understand, how are you building relationships? And is it a legit way?
Yeah, when she's talking about, and when Ann's talking about that community, and it does take time and has to be intentional. It's such as a good thing that we like, and you hear this so much. Everybody's trying to build a community, everybody's trying to build a membership, everybody's trying to Somebody offered me something, and you guys can maybe weigh in on this as well, because I always got issues, right? When I'm thinking about different things, or I'm noticing things. Someone that's a network of mine on LinkedIn offered me to come to Telegram to be in their network to drop posts from LinkedIn. Okay, yeah. That's the same thing I got. They invited me into the Telegram. We're already in the network in LinkedIn. All right, we're networking people. We post and we support each other in LinkedIn. They've created a Telegram from people from LinkedIn to go over to Telegram to drop in LinkedIn posts for people to follow. Right? I understand. I understand the premise in community. I definitely do. I love community. It's what it's all about. I'm a humanities guy. I love being around people. I love people, even when they get on my nerves. I love people. I'm just that kind of guy. But when we're doing these communities, it does take work, and there has to be an intention, and there has to be a support system, and there has to be all of things. That's what community brings. Community is just not a group of people just sitting off in another area or another place, just there. It takes and Ann puts that very well. You have to. It is the core of success, because I've been in communities where not where growth wasn't happening, fostering each other's talents wasn't happening, cultivating the people of the group was not happening. So when you look at that with these communities, yes, it's the core of our success through work. It's the core of our success through being vulnerable with what we have to offer, being able to share without agendas. This is what makes up the community. I don't have a block of where I live at in my cul-de-sac where we're a community in here, but we're a community because when new neighbors come in, we go bring cookies. We go, well, we used to before the pandemic, go bring cookies. We bring baskets. Like we welcome them to the neighborhood. That's what brings about the community. Just because they moved in, we don't start looking for them to do things or provide things. We're looking for them to be a part of a support system. And that's really what a community is. Whatever I'm doing, that's the success of the community. Are we advertising the people that's within this community? Are we building the relationships within this community? So I can faithfully say Charlene does absolute great work in this process. I back her in that. That's when it's a community. You go in there, and I strategically do. I talk about this all the time. I have about 16,000 people in my network. Have I talked to all of them? No, but I am on a campaign to do so. And I have been in that community, and I do Zooms every day, and I want to get involved with my network. Maybe I don't know where your kid went to school or whatever, but all I got to do is have one conversation with you, and it's going to be go. And I go back and check on them. I keep my
Right.
messages open. I can scroll 3 or 4 days. I go back and check on them. I ain't talked to them in a couple of weeks. I ain't seen a post. Hey, just drop it in, see how you doing. Pray all is well. We got that's what's networking and building a community. That's what makes it a success. I just want to
Yes.
top of and thing with that, because I think that's important for us to understand. Don't invite me to
Yes.
no group to be supporting you in a group, and we already in this group.
So I'm gonna go to Rob's question because I'm gonna leave that there. I'm gonna go to Rob's question and and say, we're all pretty busy. So how do you determine what and or who to give your time to? Now, for me, Rob, it's really about who stands out, right? So while I'm and a lot of times when I'm busy, I see something from people that I really want to support. So I especially on LinkedIn, what I've been doing is saving everything that I want to go back to and leave real comments on, because I know, like, okay, I see it real quickly, but I'm only on here to do something really quick. So and I'm just like my cat. I get distracted easily. So when I'm on a mission, I have to stay focused. So what I do is I save a lot of content that I want to get back to. And then when I do have my free time, I go back to all my saved content and I go through them as time permits. But it's really about who's capturing my attention, because based on content, is this something that if I had to give my feedback or my comment on, can I provide valuable comment to what this person is doing? That's why I don't comment on everybody's stuff. Sometimes their stuff doesn't require a comment. That's where you people feel like they're obligated to comment, and then you see, oh, great job, or love this, and it's not valuable in that sense, right? And if you're thinking about it as a platform, a lot of times these comments are they tend to hurt more than they do provide valuable. So, what's free time? Free time is if there's nothing pending on my calendar, if it's not a client project that I have to be working on, if it does not require if there's nothing that requires my attention, driving, you have to go somewhere, you have to go to a meeting, whatever. Free time, you are about to maybe binge on TV, right? So as you binge, before you binge on TV, or while the your show is on online or whatever, in the that can play in the background as you go through things, comments, as you go through people's posts, or you go through maybe you check out their landing page, they sent you something, you go through messages. To me, that can be free time, because me watching TV doesn't require my full attention like that. That can play in the background as I go through something. But if it's not work related, if it's not requiring my full attention, then I can devote some time. That, to me, that's free time. If I'm eating, and I'm not saying eating with people because that's rude, but if I'm just there eating lunch or having breakfast and I want to go through something, maybe instead of spending 20 minutes looking through the news or looking through YouTube, I can take 10 minutes to go through different platforms to see what were people saying. Did anybody message me? What did somebody put out there? Because maybe you're getting notifications, so you go through your notifications. Oh, so and so posted something, let me go support that, let me go check out what they did. So that's what free time is to me. What do you think, Carl? Because you Mr. Busy as well.
Yeah, to go on that question, yes, I do. I do believe that we're really busy, and we're pretty busy people as a whole. But I also take that on the other side of the coin, because there's two sides of the coins with that. We make ourselves busy with a lot of stuff that I call busy work. So when you're saying busy, what is your definition of busy? Because I had school, work, my job, my business, and church all going on at the same time. So I can say that I was all in that. I was pretty busy. I am still pretty busy, but in those five sectors of my life, I also make time for other things. So we can consider ourselves to be busy because we got a lot going on. And so it's how well you manage it. How do you determine what and who gets your time? I give everybody a piece of my time that sends me
Mhm.
something to look at. And when I say that, I don't say that I go through notifications searching for things. Sometimes I do. That's what I use my free time for. If I'm riding with someone or got an opportunity for me to just read and take in instead of me giving out, I look through notifications. I see who's posted something that's really interesting. I look and see what they have. I give more credibility to it. I can tell you now if it's something, and you probably know this as well. If it doesn't resonate with me, because I'm not rude, but I also respect everybody's values and what they consider to be important to them. That's where the respect level has to stay on a continuum. I get stuff sent to me from people that say they have awesome products, or they show me something from another website or something. Maybe it's a purchase thing. Maybe they got an agreement to show stuff with this company. I also do that. If it's an amazing product, I put that it's amazing product. That's what you're vying for if you're sending me something, whether it be third party or not. Does that determine whether I'm going to give it time? No, but I think sometimes of us being social and interactive, some things deserve a response. It's the opportunity of the time that you have. You never know, and I don't take this for granted because of the things that I've been through. You never know that particular time which you claim to not have can make an impact or a difference in someone's life that you respond to. So in essence, of we see stuff and I don't think that'll mean nothing. I've been in situations where something I've said, which I had no idea said it, saved someone's life because they told me. At that point in time, I read your stuff and I didn't do what I was going to do. Now, when you start thinking about the impact of your time, is that what is your time for? If you want to be making impact and you want to be doing things, don't get me wrong. I'm not talking above the realm of I know it's only 24 hours in the day and we have stuff to do in our lives. Yes, but in choosing the things that you want to, it's to me it's like a smile. What does it cost me to smile? If you send me something and I'm in the midst of something, I'll respond. I'm responding to stuff as I'm doing this show. I'm responding to different things, but they're not occupying me. So they're saying that, oh, okay, I understand this. I type a few things in, send it off to them. I've established that. There's a relationship that's going on there. Because to me, it's all about relationships. And then you start picking favorites. You don't know who you'll need on the way down. Because all the time we climbing up, we going to the mountaintop. But a lot of people you climbed up past, or you're gonna see them people falling down. So when you fall off that mountaintop, to give that to you, Rob, I think the free time is what you consider it to be. And Charlene pointed out a lot of great things at that. The free time is what she builds that too. But who and what gets my time is varied upon who or what sends for my time. But everybody can get a piece of my time. Now, those people that don't have access to me, it's a different thing. But if you want me to respond to a post or something, drop it to me. I respond to you. I respond to you, even if it don't make sense to me. Because if you sent it to me, evidently you think it makes sense. And for me to
Right.
discount what you think makes sense is wrong of me. So that's it. I gave
Right.
it. I gave it to you, Rob. So, Rob, what you consider free time, Rob, and who do you give your time to? Because me and we've been talking about giving us some time for some things. I ain't gonna go into
Mhm.
that on the show.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, so thank y'all for dropping these comments,
Oh
and thank
wow,
you.
yeah, such
Um,
yes. What are you doing? I'm with you, Ann. I'll be want to say the same thing. Which doing what? Doing what? I bet they couldn't even tell you. People go to work 8 hours and give you 2 hours of work. Talking about they was
pretty
busy.
much,
What was
pretty
you doing
much.
at work?
So you got to be careful, and like you said, it's about being diligent. It's about being mindful of how you
Yes,
spend your time.
absolutely.
So busy doesn't always mean busy.
I learned that, child.
So some people are busy binge watching stuff. So be
Oh yeah,
careful.
this TV thing is killing me. It's killing me.
So
Ah,
the next way that vulnerability can help you solidify credibility is not shying away from those tough situations, those tough conversations. Credibility is about making sure that you're following up with what you believe in. How do you move in this life? How do you move in this world? Following up with that. And if you have a conversation that needs to be had, if there's a situation that you need to handle, then handling it in a respectful manner, in a way that people can look at you and say, yeah, they always handle it that way. Like I can close my eyes and tell you how that's about to go down, type of
yeah,
situation. Sometimes that's what people need. They need to see that you're always doing it that way. When it comes to a conversation, you're not afraid to dive into that. And that brings into that brings in the vulnerability aspect, that taps into the vulnerability aspect of your life. Are you vulnerable enough? If somebody said questioned you, and not question you in a rude way or a bad way, like how Ann says, if she asks somebody, what are you busy doing? Then somebody can say, oh, I have to take my kids to this soccer practice. I have to do this. I have to do that. And she'll say, okay. And she's just asking to figure out, like, what do they prioritize? I like that. But other people will say, well, girl, that ain't your business. So it's like, are you going to take that in a bad way? Or are you ready to say, no, this is what I'm doing? This is what I do. I'm not afraid to answer that question. If something goes wrong in a business deal, if something goes wrong in a conversation that you might be having online, and someone you could feel like somebody feels is coming at you aggressive, but you sit there and you're like, you know what? Let me take this offline. Let me reach out to you on the back end. Let me see what's going on with you.
uh-huh.
That's you going towards that conversation and say, you know what, I felt, a little disrespected, or what's going on. This just doesn't seem like you. From all the other relationship building efforts that we've done before, you seem really cool. Are you stressed out? What's happening? Or, hey, I missed you. You haven't been around in a while. Is everything okay? Those are the things that you open yourself up to when you're not afraid to have those kind of conversations. What about you, Carl? Because you always talking, having tough conversations when it comes to that.
Yeah, they're part of who I am, and they're part of something that I started early, and a lot of it started because, hey, look at me, Black African American man. I'm supposed to stay angry, those kind of things. Just talking freely for a moment there. Tough conversations follow me, and they've always have followed me. So how do you get comfortable with those? You continue to have them, and not only you continue to have them when they come to you, you continue to present them to those who you feel need to be engaged in them. I have continuous hard conversations wherever me and Charlene have tough conversations. We have tough conversations about how we think about things should be done, and we come to a medium and yeah, that's right. Yeah, Carl, that's good. Yeah, Charlene, that's absolutely right. Let's work it on this way and let's go to this angle. There has to be there's a scripture in the Bible that can men come together and reason together. We've lost the appetite, so to speak, to reason. We've lost that. But what we've gained is the appetite to be right all the time, regardless of whatever the
Amen.
cost is. It's not always right for me to be right. Even when I'm right, it's okay to let someone else know something else. It's okay to lose an argument if you gain a friend. It's those are the kind of things that are important to me. So having those tough conversations keeps that credibility solidified. What it says is that when you come and have a conversation with Carl, he's going to tell you the real. He's not going to sugarcoat it. Now you can appreciate that, or you cannot be involved with that, whatever it is. I stay constant. So therein lies you'll also draw that kind. Since we don't realize we draw a lot of things to us because of us. We draw a lot of things to us. We draw drama to you because you dramaful. You draw childish, petty stuff
Yeah.
to you because you childish and petty. Look at it. Look at it, because we
Yep.
reap what we sow in here. So when you're going out putting those things, that's why I go back to the time piece with that too. When you go out and putting those in and spending time with that and having these conversations with people, people appreciate that. Do they always understand it? Do they always agree? Is it always their perspective? No, but the respect is what gains the credibility. Because if I can respect where you stand at, you have a credible foundation with me. So they're saying, yeah, we don't
Hmm.
agree on the same things, but I tell you what, he's stand on what he stand on, and I can respect that. So to me, he's credible in what he stands on because we're not on the same thing. Because if you agree with me because you like me, where's the credibility in that? You just like me. You go through that all the time at work. Your supervisor's like,
And once
good
you
job.
stop liking somebody, you know how that
Yeah.
goes.
Then there you go. You start liking somebody and they put you on social media talking about you didn't give them $5 for lunch. Or you paid for lunch one time and they didn't pay it the other time. So when
Hmm.
you're thinking about that, you having these tough conversations, and I'm just making light of those particular situations. But when you're having these tough conversations, you're just being real with the individual that you're having it with. And be prepared also that they have those things to say to you. Because tough conversations is a two-way street. You can't just bring the heat all the time and don't expect it to get hot in your kitchen. So you got to be able to have those conversations and be able to take those conversations. Say, you know what? That was me. I was wrong. I apologize. Let's move on. You'd be surprised how
Yeah.
much things will repair if we just apologize about the things we've done, or we just acknowledge where we were wrong. It's just a simple.
Yes. And
That's it.
and that leads into what Ann was saying.
Yes.
People sometimes are also looking to see how you handle stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They may not expect an answer out of you. They may not expect you to do the right thing. They
Uh-huh.
just want to see how you handle a tough situation. How
Yeah.
how do you respond to being on the hot seat, right? Some people cannot deal, just like
Woo.
you said, they
Hit
ready to
me.
burn your whole
Ah.
house down.
Boy, they got
But
the
you
fire
light a
hose,
match
everything.
next to them, they are
They're like,
blowing up.
with
They
that match up.
yeah, all of a sudden they cannot
Oh,
disparage people about you fast enough,
that's the truth.
right? So you got to be careful. You have to watch folks. And sometimes that's why I tell people, and I think last week Ann asked, how do you describe me in one sentence? I'm not the one to be slept on. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of times that's what I do. I just watch. I watch not because I'm scared or I'm in the shadows. I'm looking to see how are people handling themselves. There's people who are messy as hell on social media. They just plain messy.
Ooh, they can't
And
take
when
that
you
stuff
see
back.
that, yeah, you can't come back from being messy. When you are online in a public eye, there's a difference between you bringing attention to injustice, you bringing attention to somebody who just does wrong to others, and there's a difference for you just being messy. Just being messy. So there's no need for certain behaviors, there's no need for certain reactions. You just have to understand how are people handling themselves in these situations. And are you able to deal with that? Because let's not forget, birds of a feather, they flock
Ooh,
together.
ooh,
And
ah,
people
ah.
still live by that to this day. No
Yeah.
matter how liberal people may feel they are, no matter how stringent they may feel they are, everybody looks at who you deal with.
Mm-hmm.
They do. It's just
Yeah.
not something that we can forget about that. They
Guilt by
look at that.
association.
And right. And one thing that I always pay attention to is if somebody does wrong, right, on a consistent basis. and they apologizing on a consistent basis, that's not somebody I need
Check that.
in my space.
Yeah,
You
check
got
that.
to go,
Check that. Check that.
because you don't know how to learn from your mistakes. You continually do things assuming apologies will clear all of that up. Just
Yeah,
like
that's
Carla
it.
said, sometimes people think an apology dismisses the
Hmm.
need to have tough conversations and truly deal with the issue at hand. It does not.
I call that abusive syndrome, and I know, and I'm not at nowhere else taking light or standing light on that term. When you're in those abusive relationships, people tend to think they're sorry denotes understanding from the individual that they're being abusive to, and you still got to have those hard conversations
Mm-hmm.
because there's and you got to, since you said that and that just popped up on my mind, we have to have these conversations not on 100. And said something that really struck out with me, and I've always been like that. If I'm not in agreement to what you do based upon you dealing with me, it's an immediate thing for me to tell you so you can acknowledge it. Don't have people do things to you continuously. You sit there and never say anything about it. Then when you're at 100, you want to go at their neck. It's not the opportune time. I always thought it was because I have people tell me all the time, well, now's not the time. Well, you did it now. So whether and
Mm-hmm.
how I bring it to you is going to be the tactfulness of which I operate. It's not going to be dismissive. It's not going to be embarrassing, but I'm going to let you know because we're going to identify this thing that you did that I did not appreciate. So there's an understanding with you from the door that Carl doesn't like that. And that's how I like
Mm-hmm.
to have conversations. I think that's respectfully done. But if I let you work with you 10 years and you've been fudging on me for 10 years, then 11th year, I don't want to take what you've been doing for 10 years but never said anything about it. When I come at you in that 11th year, well, what's your problem? What's wrong with you? I've been doing that to you all the time. That's why I address those things right then and there. When I have a problem with you, I say what the problem is and I let you know. So it's been acknowledged. So when you come back with that
Mm-hmm.
same problem, we're on a different level now because I've given
Right.
you the talk. So we're on a different level. So if you come to me with that same thing, then I know to think of you differently. There's a disrespect factor there. There's understanding that you're not caring about the feelings I have. There's something that you're putting off, or you think that with me, it's a plaything. These are the
Mm-hmm.
things they're talking about. So when they mention that, it's how you actually, yeah, I take a lot. It takes a lot to get me heated. It takes a whole lot. And people have stepped on that. But I also let them know in the points and places of things happening because I pull people over right in the midst of anything we was doing. I say, yo, 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 yo. I didn't pull bosses over like that in the meetings. Excuse me, let me holler at you for a second. Don't do me like that no more
Mm-hmm.
in the meeting. You want to tell me you got a big office? Actually, you got leather couch now. I would love to go sit on that and talk to you. Don't pull me over in front of the meeting and talk to me like I'm your kid. No. So
Right.
you have to address these things, and it takes courage to do that. I'm not saying everybody can do that, but learn how to talk about these and these tough situations, tough conversations. Learn how to handle them. Put them in practice. Practice them because
Mm-hmm.
it takes practice. Because when stuff gets you heated, it's hard to talk about sensibly. Everybody don't have that self control. So that's another thing I want to point out. But just don't shy away from them because that definitely builds your credibility. From other people see that one to be slept on, as my host say. Don't sleep on it. Don't sleep.
And for me, what the way I approach some of these things is it depends on the situation and how I feel at that time. If
Mm.
I'm upset about something, I can't talk to you because
See,
at
that's
that
where the
point it's gonna
practice
go
comes
left.
in. That's where the
It's gonna
practice talk to you mad.
no, but for me, what it is things will go left real quickly, right? So
Brooklyn, Brooklyn.
I have to get my thoughts together
Okay,
in how I address the conversation, and how, because I'm always thinking, okay, are they going to think this way, are they feeling this way, and it's a good and bad thing because I don't want to assume their
right.
feedback, but I have to also take into account, am I taking this the wrong way? Is it
Mhm.
me? What are my emotions? So I kind of
I
self
got you.
check myself first, and then I approach it from, this is how I was feeling, and it happened this day, this is what happened. And that's another part of what why I take my time,
Yeah,
because I want to get the conversation correct.
correct.
A lot of times people say, well, I didn't say that, I didn't say, no, 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 this is what was said. Maybe that's not what you meant, but this is what was said,
Yeah,
right? And this is how I took it. that way now we can have a conversation. A lot of times people will sit there, they'll talk over me, and I'm talking from my experience. People talk over me. People act like they can cut me off, but I can't cut them off to get my word in. It's a whole lot. So I've learned to just woo-saw my way through the conversation, calm myself down, and then make an approach to them. This is what was going on. This is how I felt. It was disrespectful. And it becomes a better conversation.
Mm.
Now, for me, and I don't know if it's my Taurianism, but
Oh
a lot
wow,
of
that's
times
totally ism.
folks will, right, folk I will give folks more chances than they require or they need. And that can also be to a detriment because by the time I cut you off, it's never an argument. I just cut you off. Like I said before, when I stop messing with you, I just stop messing with you. You may think I ghosted, so be it. But I rather just not deal with it because I've dealt with way too many people that like confrontation. And no matter how I approach it and how nice I am about it, no matter how gentle my voice can be, they ready to fight. And I've seen people fight in text messages. People want to fight in email. What do I
Oh,
do? Delete,
I don't have the strength. I don't have the
delete,
strength.
block, and be done. Because I
I don't have
can't
the
do it.
strength.
I know how I am. I get real emotional about things in the sense that I feel like I'm really thinking about, well, damn, this could have gone a different way, or how is this, or how is that. That's not my job, but because I always am wondering what's going on, why did this happen, I take that on. So after I give my 2 cents, I don't like a whole bunch of back and forth. If I tell you, you know what, I'd rather not type this out, let's jump on the phone, and you still doing it, I cut you off. I don't even, it's nothing else after that. I'll just cut you off. I block you and I'm done.
Oh wow, not the
Same
block.
thing. I block. And I don't even delete people. And I do this on my phone. I don't even delete people. I just block you. And then on my phone, I put next to your name, do not answer.
That's a
So
lot.
just in case you come through, and that's how I do. I don't want you coming back in my phone because no, we're not doing that. Just block.
Yeah.
Not dealing with you. So it's really, yeah, it's pick your battles.
Mhm.
Never compromise who you are. Never compromise your beliefs. Don't compromise how you feel about a situation. But pick the battles. If this is not a hill I'm trying to die on today, trust I'm not doing it.
Mhm.
I'm not doing it. So that's how you are too. When you're building your credibility online, when you're building who you are online, your brand online, your brand in a company, in a
Yes.
in a corporate situation, pick your battles. What where you trying to go today? How you trying to be remembered? Because folks will do their best if they know that they can smile at you, they can grin, they can yuck it up, but they're not there for your best interest.
No.
They
And
will
you know that as
find
well.
out how you are. Yeah.
And you know that. You know that. You
So
know that as well.
right. So and then what Rob was saying, those are called high conflict individuals. They get satisfaction from the conflict. It gives the attention and validation. I feel sorry for them because they don't know how to communicate constructively. And I agree. I agree with that. So before we wrap it up, I want to make sure we got to another point on how to solidify your credibility. Push your ego aside. And we talked a lot about that in a sense today.
Yeah.
Push your ego aside. Sometimes it's not about you. Somebody might be hella upset and they take it out on you. That's why I'm like, okay, hold on. Why are you coming out here? Why are you
Mhm.
coming with both barrels coming to go? Is it because you mad at me? Something went wrong at home? What's going on? That
Mhm.
way I can say, okay, whatever's going on in your household, you need to figure that out. Don't bring it to my doorstep. Because I know for a fact, whatever I may have said, whatever I may have typed, did not warrant that reaction. So you need to self-check yourself. What are you going through? What do you think, Carl?
No, I address that. I'm sorry. I'm an address person. I guess that's just who I am. That's just how I roll. And when I say address, most people think you say the word address, there's a connotation that there has to be some friction or something that. No, it's simply me. It's address. I address what's being said. I address what's being done. I address what I like, what I don't like. I think us as humans, that is our right to address. What we fail to do a lot of times is understand how we can address. Because us all being grown adults, there's no way in the world that you can talk to another grown adult like a child and they respond to you with what you want to be responded. It just doesn't that. So you have to come in the fact that that's how I deal with things on that level because I can stay at my octave continually through a conversation and be very heated in that conversation. Smoke may be appearing from off of my dome as well, but I don't carry it to another octave. I still articulate what I need to say, and I make sure that the eye contact is there, so you know I'm not playing. There's ways that, and there's comes practice with that. I'm not saying nothing that everybody gets this because we're all different and we handle things all different ways. Like Charlene says, she's straight to the point. I'm straight to the point too. We just got different ways of doing it. I pride myself on being able to have an articulate conversation with you, with us having some dissemination of ideas and agreements that we come to a place of saying, okay, you were right, I was wrong, I was wrong, you were right. I think that's what reasoning calls for. Now, does it always occupy the space I'm in when I'm talking to other people? No, it don't, because people don't receive stuff that well, especially if they are wrong
Mhm.
about it. They don't receive it that well. So no, do I pick a battle? I don't pick any battles. I just respond in battle. So when Ann said pick your battles to see which one you win, I just respond in battles because fights come to you. I don't pick them. Fights come to you. Fights will come to everybody that's
Mhm.
watching this show, whether it's been in the way you work, the way that you put things out, the way you produce, the way you talk, how you look, what you dress. Fights come to you. But what you have to do and be prepared is how do you handle yourself in those fights?
Right.
Because no, you won't win every battle. There's going to be some fights to say, "Oh, I got to take this one on the chin," but the fight's going to come. So I never pick them, and I like that. That's a nice cliche. I don't pick no fights. Come to my neighborhood, you get what happens in my neighborhood. That's all. That's all that happens. But put
Man.
that ego aside. Go to that and talk that. Put that ego to the side. That's the number one rule of being vulnerable. Put the ego to the side because the ego represents pride. And yes, is it good at some points and places? Absolutely, because you need to be prideful in the things that you are, person you are, and the things that you represent. But it also can be a hindrance to who you could be, who you're destined to be, and why you can't be. Because ego to me equals pride. So roll with it.
Yeah, and that taps into if somebody is giving you feedback, right?
Exactly.
You're out there, you thinking, you doing big things, you're showing that you're credible, but
Mhm.
somebody says, "Hey, I was trying to do this with you and da 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 and things fell through." Then push your ego aside and say, "Okay, maybe it just wasn't the right timing. Let's try again." Or maybe that's not the person you wanted to really do anything with. So let them know up front. That's where you start to be credible and you're saying, okay, no, this is why it didn't work out, or we talked about this already. Right,
Yeah.
you had the conversation, they might have blanked it out, but you
Yeah.
had it, and then you're saying, okay. And sometimes some folks have no I want to say they have no couth about how they approach you, right? They want to come both barrels blazing and do it all on social media. Some, like Rob said, they just love that confrontation. They want that spotlight, no matter how they get it.
They 15 minutes of fame, that they used to call it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now you have to say to yourself, all right, yeah, they may be coming at me, trying to get to my jugular, but
Mhm.
let me approach it from a higher ground
Mhm.
and just lay the cards out. No, this is what happened. This is
Yeah.
why we're not going to work together. But thank you for coming through.
Now you can
Right?
use it. The social media people do come to your thing. Yeah, that's why they should read. They should retake that. And I'm always about changing the narratives of things that's traditionally been, because there's a new way of thinking. So we can't keep on falling on traditions if traditions are failing us. Why do we keep calling that social media? And everyone that's on social media, for the most part, are not sociable. Everyone's on social media looking for plots and places for which they can tear down and destroy or make fun of or criticize, right? So when you look at social media, so is that part of being social? Are those all demonstrative things that continues to happen on social media? No, it's not. So I'm in the narrative of trying to change that. But those people who want their 15 minutes of fame, sometimes that could be a good thing. Sometimes you get your name out there. And I remember in the rap, I always talk about this. The rap game, Back in the 80s, cats was coming at each other so they can get their name, so people could say, "Oh, but we're in a new way of doing things." I even took it back to days. I went at politely. I went at Brene Brown, and I just went at for how we look and how you look. You can't obviously say what's vulnerable to me is vulnerable to you. So I went at her with a niceness and saying, she can't describe my vulnerability, and that's what it is. But you can use it to your effect, but you want to have the ego to the side so you're able to learn and grow. Those are the things that ego sometimes stops us from doing that. And I can never say that enough because it's to me it symbolizes pride. And yes, it is good to have pride. But when the ego gets into where you just monster, like we just were celebrating yesterday, right? What you sent to Google, we on the first page of Google. Google search, not just looking up our name, just a simple search, Google search, right? On
Hmm.
the first page of Google. I celebrated it with a quickness. Yes, we on our way to TV land. But you know what? We're still putting in the work. My head ain't getting no bigger. We still got a lot of work to do. I know that's one thing because you can be up to date down
Hmm.
tomorrow. You can be on the hill
Yeah.
today and somebody be laughing about you in the gutter tomorrow. So I just take it like that. So ego is a hurtful thing to me. That's just my opinion. You may think anyway, but I appreciate we talking about it. Push it aside.
But
Push it
yeah,
aside.
so as we sum up and wrap up
Oh
for
yeah, we was
today.
rolling today, y'all. We
I
got an
know
hour
we
gone.
were getting it in today. We were getting it
Yeah.
in today. So I want to say thank y'all again for
Thank
coming
y'all
through
for
and
staying.
being part of this conversation because
Absolutely.
this is something that's ongoing. That's why we created this series because a lot of times we just need to understand what's going on when people are fighting to be visible. People are giving you these lessons on being visible, but are they helping you understand how to handle that visibility? When you get visible, what else? What now? Because like I said, before you thrive for that whole viral fame, what are you giving people once you're viral? What are
Truth.
you doing? Right?
Fact.
Like I said, you could tap dance all day on TikTok. Now what? You caught my attention. Now what? Are you tap dancing through our consultations too? Like what's happening?
What you offer? What you offer? The funny video? Yeah.
Right. So I always say, and it doesn't have to take forever, but just figure out what's the game plan for you. How are you trying to do this? And if you're going to be vulnerable in your life, how are you going to use that vulnerability for positivity to uplift you and uplift others? So as we close out for today, make sure that you tune in again next week. We're going to continue this conversation, but we're going to dive in a little more on what the whole visibility aspect looks like. So once you're viral, once you're visible, how can we now take that visibility and our credibility and push forth an initiative that helps us build each other up? So I cannot wait to have that conversation with you. Have a great weekend. Deuces.
Deuces, family. Deuces.